So let's welcome Wiharti.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the introduction. It is a pleasure for me to be here today as I standing and start the first day in the morning. At this time, I will talk about one problematic weed yet unfamous around us, around our farming system, that we call broadleaf dog. So lately, there is an increasing of the growth of this weed, and we would like to share the information about the biology of this broadleaf dog, and also about the research that we have done in order to get a better understanding and for management purposes. So as Lisa mentioned before, I am Wiharti Purba. I am a master student advised by Dr. Tim Miller and currently based in WSU Mount Vernon Research Extension Center. So as we are going to talk about broadleaf dog, I just didn't know that if you are familiar with this broadleaf dog. And I would like to show you to tell you about dog, which is actually a common name that can be referred to several different species of Rumex genus. So broadleaf dog in Latin is Rumex obtusifolius. And as you can see here, if we searching about dog in USDA plant database, we can find about 12 species of this plant within the same genus, which is Rumex. And as the picture here, you can see there is a cluster dog, western dog, American garden dog, willow dog, and also wood dog. And the upper side, it is curly dog and broadleaf dog. However, if we are in agriculture area, the most major concern of this dog is actually curly dog and broadleaf dog. So if everyone talking that they have problem with dog, it is actually referring to curly dog, either curly dog or broadleaf dog. And while most of the dog species is actually native species, those two species are introduced, and it's kind of difficult to distinguish this type of species, especially if you just have one of them instead of compare both of the species. But the most obvious diagnostic feature is actually the leaf shape and also the leaf width. As you can see on the right side, this one, if you see the red dot, it is broadleaf dog. It's usually have more wider leaf and also with smooth to finely ruffled margins, while the curly dog, or in Latin we call Rumex crispus. Crispus means wavy, so the margin of it is more wavy and it has more narrower leaves. And for the distribution of these two types of dog, as you can see here, curly dog is reported throughout United States and include almost western state. On the right side is curly dog. Meanwhile, broadleaf dog is most in western state, but it is exclude Wyoming, Nevada, and North Dakota. However, what we need to know from this map is how they built this map is based on collecting the herbarium species. So the plant might be in the area, but because there is no report, there is no herbarium species collected, they did not put it on a record. So if you look closer to the distribution of this plant in Washington state, as we can see here, I think for blueberry production is western area. We will deal more with broadleaf dog because it has less frost resistant compared to curly dog, and it's also among another Rumex species. It is the most tolerant to low pH condition. However, if any of you is a blueberry production in central Washington, I think you will deal more with Rumex crispus or curly dog, because curly dog is more distributed around all the western or Washington state. So when I first time working with this type of species, I'm wondering what is actually the importance of this species, what is the significance of this species in agriculture area. So as you can see here, it is actually a nitrophilous weedy species. It means that it has high affinity for nitrogen, and the higher concentration of nitrogen in the soil favor the growth of this wheat. So when there is, if we compare an agricultural area to bare soil that usually have higher nitrogen condition, it seems favorable for this kind of wheat. And also, it's reported to be a host for several types of pests and disease and have allelopathic effect. And lately, it has been reported that it is really difficult to control this type of wheat. And since it is difficult to conventional farming, I believe it is more difficult to organic. As you can see here, in '94, it is reported in Central Europe that it's become one important obstacle for farmers to switch from conventional to organic farming. That most of them is I like to point is in the grassland farming. And looking closer to the characteristic of the plant, as I told you before, this plant is an introduced plant, so it is actually native to Europe. If you're familiar with rhubarb or buckwheat, it is on the same family. Sometimes it has the same feature with rhubarb. It is a rosette perennial type of plant. It usually have rosette basal leaves with a white leaf, and also have reproductive stem that can grow up to 5 feet. And for the flower, as you can see on the right side, it is the picture of the flowering stage of this plant. It is usually in cluster, and it's green when it is young, and when it's become mature, it will be shown like browning. And based on the report, it's produced a huge amount of seeds that can be struggling for us to control this wheat. It can produce maximum annual seed 60,000 per plant per year. However, it is reported that the performance of seed production will be different based on the population. Like in Canada, it can reach only 27,000, while in UK and Japan, it is less than 15,000. And then another unique characteristic of this plant that it can produce adventitious root and also secondary taproot that are really thick and fleshy, and it can regrow to a new plant, and it can extend to a soil 4 to 5 feet. And if we're looking closer to the habitat of this wheat, we usually found this in widely different plant communities because it is really good in compete with another native species, and also it can occupy an area that mostly will be dominated by palatable crop field. And if we look around us here in Western Washington, I think it is really more easier for us to find it in more open area, because this plant is really good in compete. In the seedling stage, it is really difficult for them. During seedling, it's really difficult for them to compete, but during mature, they have a good survive competition. As you can see here in the picture, it is one area in Linden, and I believe it used to be a raspberry field. And as you can see here, it's now dominated, invaded by this broadleaf dog with the large leaves. And I believe that maybe inside of the soil there is several viable seeds that remain in the soil that was there because of unproper control. So at this time, when the area is open, the seed germinate and then invade the field. And then, if you look closer to berry production, last summer we went with Lisa here for a quick wheat survey, and we just take several pictures to give us a picture where is the wheat usually found in berry production. As you can see here, because the broadleaf dog itself is perennial plant, it is possible for us to find them in alley of the blueberry farm, and also under the bushes, and also it can be like a long line over here between the cultivated part and between the alley. And like I've mentioned before, that is several characteristics and biology of this plant that help them to and favor them to survive in the field. Because they're perennial, they can flowering several times a year, and also they have numbers of seeds, huge number of seeds, and the seeds can remain viable in the soil up to 40 years. And like I showed you before, it has a regrowth capability to grow from the vegetative fragment of the plant when it is left in the soil after cultivation or even after cutting. And also the major thing that helped this type of plant survive in agriculture area is because the single measures were rarely successful enough to control this rumex population. And then in order to get a little bit idea about how to control this type of weed, we set up several experiments. We did germination testing and 2 herbicide testing during fall and spring. First of all, I will talk about this germination testing. So because the seed of this plant is a small seed and it requires light, so we did petri dish germination testing using petri dish, and as you can see here in a picture, we use a blue bladder, the blue part of this in this petri dish as a substrate, and then we place them in incubator or germinator in 3 different temperature based on our retilator review.